everybody, and welcome to ChasingCinema.com's official podcast. I believe this is the 127th time that you've came and joined us for the Chasing Cinema discussion. As always, I am one of your hosts, Jacob Toronto, and I'm joined by my loyal, faithful co-host / best friend,
Louis Corazzolo,
who's returning after a week off because Mr. Josh Bell filled in for him last week from the Las Vegas Weekly. We had some great conversations about how we feel about the Marvel, DC Universe, whole saga. We talked about comic books in general and how me and Josh both were kind of sick of the comic book movie. We also reviewed Dracula. No, what did we review last week? We reviewed Fury, and we reviewed Book of Life. This week, Louis and I are going to get back into action, and we are going to be talking about what we've seen this week. We're going to talk about very little movie news, talk about the upcoming Halloween, what we're planning on doing, what movies we're going to be watching, and then we're going to be doing a review of John Wick and Ouija. So, Louis, welcome back. What have you been doing? We haven't talked to you in 2 weeks, so what have you been watching? What's been keeping you busy?
A lot has been keeping me busy, but a lot of the stuff is very mundane and boring and depressing and just not fun to talk about. So I'm just going to skip all of that unfun stuff and talk about the other stuff that's been keeping me busy, which is not a whole lot. I've been following ESPN 30 for 30, so I've been catching up on that. I know we talked about it before, and it's when ESPN Films do documentaries about pop culture and sports and how all that ties in. And they released a new season. It's on Netflix right now, streaming as well, all the old episodes. And I watched two great ones this past 2 weeks. One was when the Garden was Eden, talking about the New York Knicks championship team when they beat the Lakers, directed by Michael Rappaport. So that's very, very interesting. Diehard Knicks fan himself. So definitely check that one out if you're a New York native. And the other one was extremely interesting, and it focused on the 89 World Series between the Giants and the A's. And if you're a baseball fan, during that time there was this very, very serious earthquake that took place during one of the games, and a lot of destruction happened in the San Francisco Bay Area, and it kind of put the World Series on stop. But that was definitely a great documentary you should check out, because it shows you how unimportant games can be compared to what's really going on in society. And it just shows you how, even though Oakland and San Francisco are so close together, but the attributes, the characteristics of both cities are so different, and that was very fun to check out. And other than that, I've been just watching my usual TV shows. And
what were those titles again? I'm sorry. They are ESPN 30 for 30.
Yeah, 30 for 30. That's the main series. The New York Knicks one was when the Garden was Eden, and the day the series stood still.
Cool, because we talked about the I don't even remember what it was, but we talked about the one with the ice skaters.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Nancy and
Karen, I believe. No? Is it not Karen? I think
Harding,
it is Karen.
Harding. I know
Karen Harding.
Karen Harding does not sound right.
I think Karen Harding is absolutely right. Look up their names. So I pulled a Louis these past couple weeks. I haven't talked about it because I wanted to save up so when I could talk. Is that all, Louis? I'm sorry.
Tanya Harding.
And what was the other girl's name?
What? Nancy Kerrigan. I remember Nancy Kerrigan.
Oh, Kerrigan, Karen. I was close.
No, I won't give you that.
If we were playing that game, you wouldn't give that to me?
Hell no. Excuse my language, but no.
Oh man.
I don't think no one. If you say Karen Harding, it's Tanya Harding.
Yeah, but
and Nancy
people know.
Kerrigan.
I knew it was a K somewhere in there. Anyway, so our good friend Michael Smith over at Mike's Film Talk at Twitter. You can find him at Mike's Film Talk. He writes for the Guardian Las Vegas. I think GuardianLV.com is the website. I may be not 100%, but you can always find all of his work at Mike's Film Talk. He recommended a television show to me, actually a British television show that he told me I needed to watch. It was only 3 seasons long, only 6 episodes per season, so it was literally only 18 episodes, and he said it was one of his favorite shows he saw, and it was called The In-Betweeners. And The In-Betweeners follows 4 friends, 4 totally misfit friends, who are basically going through, well, he was explaining to me that it's not the same in the UK, which is understandable, but basically high school goes until you're 16, and then you go to what they call college from 16 to 18, and that's when then after that you go to university. So it's very different out there, so I guess it's taking them place through high school and kind of college. And so like I said, it was only 18 episodes long, and it felt way too short. This show was so funny, so incredible. It was like the British version of Freaks and Geeks. Another great show about adolescence and coming to adulthood. And also a very short-lived show. I believe Freaks and Geeks only had 3 seasons. A little bit more content, but unfortunately, both of them were cut short. Freaks and Geeks, hilarious and funny, but I really, really love The In-Betweeners. If you are someone who does not like British humor, this show is probably not for you, because this is very hard. Not very hard, but very real British, and a lot of accents, a lot of not accents, but dialect. There was a few times I had to pause the show and find out what they meant. Like, I never knew, like in one of the first episodes, they're talking about losing money to a fruity, and I didn't know what a fruity was. And I found out that a fruity is a fruit machine, which fruit machine is a slot machine. So and as he was explaining to me, there's a phrase called, I don't have a Scooby. And what that means is Scooby as in Scooby-Doo. So I don't have a clue, like Scooby. I mean, it's a funny dialect, but I did have to pause myself sometimes to kind of figure out what they were saying. But it is a very clever and funny show, very witty. It's a little bit more risque because, as my dear friend Mike from the UK was explaining to me, the television ratings and all that stuff is very, very different out there. But it's a great, great show. It is on Netflix. The entire series is on Netflix. You can watch it. It's called The In-Betweeners. Now, this is not to be confused with the American version of The In-Betweeners, because later, I believe, because this show was in like 2000, I want to say 2006, 2008, they made an In-Betweeners out here. And they were like, I guess, supposedly, because as Mike was telling me, they were trying to do British humor in America, and it just didn't work, and the show got canceled, I think only after 1 season. I haven't seen it. I haven't really checked much into it. But if you get a chance to watch The In-Betweeners on Netflix, go. It is amazing. It is funny, especially if you're in a British... Like, if you like Shaun of the Dead and movies from Simon Pegg or any type of British comedy, I'm sure you'll love this show. It is very, very fun, risque, a lot of lowbrow humor, but, I mean, there are times it really makes up for it. And then... they actually made a movie I think 3 years later, in 2011, they made a movie. They kind of have a reunion, and I have not watched that yet. I'm really, really excited to watch that. And I believe Mike told me they're also making another one if they've not already made it. I'm not sure. But check it out. It's a great, great show. Very funny. Like I said, it is lowbrow. I mean, it is about 4 adolescents trying to have sex, trying to figure out the world, trying to get into bars. I mean, it sounds very lowbrow, but I mean, there's some really great witty stuff in it. So I really, really recommend it. Again, that's The In-Betweeners on Netflix Instant now. So that's been keeping me busy. Any free time, I've been trying to watch the show. And, I had that feeling of longing and being so sad when the show ended, because it's so rare you only find a show that's only 18 episodes long. So that was the only tough part I think about the show, is just it was way too short. And I don't know if it got canceled. I really don't know the backstory, but I can tell you it's one worth watching. You've seen Freaks and Geeks, right, Louis?
I guess.
What does that mean? You've not seen it, or you've seen parts of it? What?
I guess parts of it. Okay. I never really seeked it out myself to watch the completeness of it, but I've seen bits and pieces. Never interested me as much as it should because of all the people involved, which is, pretty crazy. But I don't know. Never really.
See, I mean, I don't know, because like the show, like In-Betweeners, like if you were to read it on paper, it wouldn't appeal to me. But I mean, it's just the way they deliver it and other things. And Freaks and Geeks too. Freaks and Geeks necessarily isn't my, my favorite type of comedy, but I mean, it interested me enough to be like, oh my god, like I got into it. I really cared for the character. I really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
So the In-Betweeners 2, sorry to go back to that, they did make a second movie already, and it came out in the UK in August, so I don't know when it's going to be available here, but I know the first movie is available on Netflix. Not sure when the second one will be available, but if you're just trying to find a new show and you're in like a transition where you have a quick, I mean, they're 20-minute episodes, again, 18 episodes, that's not long at all. You could finish a season a day, easy, That's an hour, or no, 2 hours for one season, so get it watched. Great show. Thank you, Mike, for recommending that to me. Again, you can follow Mike, a brilliant writer, at Mike's Film Talk. So that's what's been keeping me busy. So, Louis, what's going on in the world of movie news? What have you been hearing? Obviously, there's been a major trailer drop this week that I'm sure we're going to talk about. But what else has been going on in the world of movie news?
You know what? Based on last week's discussion on movie news, these so many different movies coming out in the next half of the decade, that the news is this field of potential casting and what's going to be involved in these superhero movies, that this week is actually more of the same from last week.
Mm-hmm.
The only big difference this week, I would have to say, revolving that, is that now it appears that Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor is going to be in more than just the Batman Superman movies, and he's in talks to join the Suicide Squad.
Okay.
So that's very interesting, I suppose. Other than that, let's try to be different, try to avoid the superhero movies. The Crow remake has been floating around for some time now, and now the producers are saying that they hope to start shooting next year, and Luke Evans is still attached to be the star.
Which I'm actually kind of interested in, because I don't think Luke Evans is a terrible actor. I just really think he didn't do a great job in Dracula Untold, but he wasn't given much in that movie either. But I think he could be fit for the role. But again, as I've stated over the past 2.5 years that we've been doing this podcast, the Crow remake is something I'm dreading.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't too crazy about The Crow, the original. You loved it. Your type of movie, not my type of movie. So if they make one, I probably won't see it anyways if it was up to me. It does not affect me, but you're not the only one that
Crow
expressed
is awesome.
That sentiment. Everyone's up in arms about it. Other movie news, very, very, very weak this week. This is, I guess, pretty big if you like comedy. Seth Rogen, Jackie Weaver, Megan Fox, Will Ferrell, Danny McBride are joining James Franco in a film titled Zeroville. So that's pretty cool. I guess let's just jump to the big news, I guess, because it has nothing worth of notice.
Really quick, before we jump into the movie news, I know you are a diehard SNL fan, and though this might not be direct movie news, how did Jim Carrey's return to SNL? Well, he has hosted SNL before, numerous times, right?
His last time, I believe, was in 2011 or so with the Black Keys.
Okay, so how was his return to SNL 3 years after his last appearance?
Have you seen the episode?
The episode with Jim Carrey?
Yeah, last night?
No.
No, I enjoyed it. Again, we're talking about current state SNL, and a lot of people hate on SNL because it's not as good as, the classics, with Bill Murray, Chevy Chase, or even the 90s with Adam Sandler and Dana Carvey. But I still find enjoyment in these episodes. And if you I've watched like every episode since 2005. You can still find some enjoyment. I know I have. Not all of them are winners, but at least in every episode, there's at least one or two moments where you say, "Oh, that was really funny." And Jim Carrey, I like Jim Carrey. Most people either love him or hate him, and I can see ways he can be annoying to some, but he is funny. He tries to do his best with what he's got, even in his movies. So you gotta respect that. And it was an enjoyable show. It was a Halloween episode. So it was all about spooks and goblins and, different things. The opening monologue was a little weak, probably the weakest part of the night. But it was fun. He did what Jim Carrey does. And the cast supported him nicely. There's a few moments of the. I'm sure it's going to be a moment of the show that's going to be a YouTube hits. You know, they had like a dance off, breaking the fourth wall, going through the audience of the Sears Chandelier song. So I'm sure that's going to be a hit. And also made fun of the Matthew McConaughey Lincoln ad throughout the night, and that was very funny.
Yeah, I haven't watched it. I enjoy SNL too. Me and Samantha get a kick out of a lot of things that SNL does. I mean, I do watch older SNLs and realize there's a difference, but I have no reason to hate on the show. It's just hard. I mean, we just get really lazy. We just don't ever we get lost, you know, and time checks up and you see like there's 5 SNLs to watch. I'm like, ugh, just forget it. But a lot of talk about Jim Carrey, so I want to watch him. So I'll definitely give it a watch. But I just wanted to know how he did.
It was a solid B to A episode, easily, you know. And then next week, Chris Rock is returning with Prince.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so that's definitely going to be like probably one of the biggest episodes of the year.
That's awesome. How long has it been since Chris Rock's been on SNL?
I don't believe he's ever really hosted SNL.
He's always been a star.
He was definitely a part of the cast in the 90s, so I want to say I don't remember seeing any cameos or, you know, drop-bys by him. So there's a good chance he hasn't been back to SNL since he left. And
I don't think the world has really seen Chris Rock in a while. Like, Chris Rock's been out of the limelight for a good little bit. At least that I can remember.
He is directing. Well, he did direct, star, and wrote in a film that's coming out soon. I forgot the names, but it's getting.
I know what you're talking about.
Great buzz. It's killing all the festivals. It should be coming out later this year. Let me find the name fast because it's bugging me. Top 5 is the name of the film, and it's about a comedian who makes a try being a serious actor. And a lot of people like it, loving it. I think it comes out December. So we will be seeing Chris Rock before the year's out.
All right. Well, that's good. Okay, so go on to the big movie news. If I'm assuming you're talking about what I think you're talking about, it is the release of the Avengers 2 teaser trailer.
Yes. Now, I haven't watched it, to be honest with you.
To be honest with you, I haven't watched it either because typical. I don't watch trailers.
Yes.
So I'm surprised you haven't watched it.
I've made an attempt to watch it 2 or 3 times. A couple times it was at work with my coworkers. Then we got busy, so we couldn't. And at home, I just I guess it's not worth it. Like, if Destiny's not aligned for me to watch it, I won't watch it right now. And that's how I've intended to. I think I read a recap about it, and there was very much Iron Man and focused, which is not surprising because he's going to be part of Captain America 3. They want him to do Iron Man 4, but nothing's set in stone. So it's more focused on that aspect. And I think Hulk and the Thor, they are going to fight. What I am excited about this is the actual villain, Ultron. I think that's going to be really cool, and James Spader is voicing that character, so that's even better.
Yeah, James Spader has been getting a lot of push now ever since the Blacklist, and you know, I'm a big fan of James Spader. I mean, I was like, James Spader's in Lincoln. I'm so excited.
Yeah,
and so I mean, that's going to be interesting too. But again, like, no surprise, I don't watch trailers. I don't really even do movie news. However, that is going to be changing soon as Chasing Cinema is going to be releasing an every other day video, or soon to be every other day video, with news updates and trailers and trailer talk. Yeah, we're trying to widen our YouTube base, so that's going to be coming soon. I don't know when, so don't say where is it. Sometime in November, you'll be seeing, hopefully, like little movie new recaps and things like that throughout the week from Chasing Cinema. So if you're not already part of our YouTube page, youtube.com/Chasing Cinema, where you can find reviews, and our podcasts are also up there. If you are, tired of iTunes or whatever, you could also find our stuff on YouTube. As of late, so not all of our podcasts, but the last 5 or so have been uploaded in there. So there's plenty of stuff to go check out on there. So keep your eyes open.
Now's the time to join, is what I'm getting at. And speaking of trailers, now I wanted to mention this a couple weeks ago, but I decided not to because I know you don't watch trailers.
Most of them.
There was 2 big trailers that came out.
Okay, so I probably didn't see them.
Really up to my wheelhouse. The first one was being Paul Thomas Anderson's Inherent Vice. Did you see that one?
No.
It's amazing. It looks phenomenal. Typical, right up the wheelhouse for any Anderson fan. It's amazing. It's Boogie Nights. It's There Will Be Blood on comedy. It's epic. The other one,
It's Paul Thomas Anderson's new film.
yes, Inherent Vice comes out.
Who's in it?
We got Joaquin Phoenix. We got a little Reese Witherspoon. We got a little Owen Wilson, Josh Brolin, Martin Short appears. It's just an ensemble cast.
All right. What else?
It looks crazy. The other one, depending how early you got before one of your premieres, is Clint Eastwood's American Sniper with Bradley Cooper.
No. I have seen posters for American Sniper, but I have not watched the trailer.
Wow, you better.
And this is a Clint Eastwood film?
Yes, starring Bradley Cooper, based on a true story. The trailer is very impressive. Amazing. And again, this is part of the reason why I didn't mention it when I first saw it, was because I knew there was a good chance you have not seen it, and it would be one-sided, like what's going on right now. So
basically, we didn't want we didn't want to happen is what happening is right now.
Yeah, I prevented it for 2 weeks. I did the best I can. But American Sniper looked amazing.
Well, how about this? How about as of right now?
No, don't do it.
As of this moment.
Lies.
I will resign my non-trailer watching ways, and I will start watching trailers again. Because obviously, with the stuff we're going to be doing on YouTube, I need to watch trailers, and I'm going to need to be reading movie news. So from now on, I will get rid of that handicap, and we will make this more of a two-way conversation. How about that?
That sounds fabulous, man.
So next week, my review of the American Sniper trailer and the new PTA Films trailer. Oh, not American Sniper. What was it?
Oh no, it's good. You got the. I'm
okay.
not laughing I'm laughing because you don't have to review it.
Oh.
I just wanted to talk about it. That's all.
Well, I'm not review it, but you know what I mean. Analyze it.
Give a breakdown.
I was like, American Sniper. No, it sounds too much like American Beauty. It can't be right.
No, it is American Sniper.
American Sniper.
And Bradley Cooper gained a lot of muscle weight for this film.
No, I saw the poster for it. I read some things about it. Now, is this film was completed and coming out at the end of the year, or is it going to be next year? Or is it being limited release? What's going on with it?
It definitely is coming out. I think it's going to be like the Lone Survivor.
Okay.
Where it starts off this year and then goes wide sometime in January.
So this film is technically a little bit older. Like
for the Oscars.
Well, for us, like it's the really first I've kind of seen or heard about much of it. But it's been made. It's probably been shown somewhere, and it'll be around by the end of the year. So it's like going to be out in the next month or so.
That's what I'm guessing. Okay. I think on IMDb it says January 16th release date.
Okay. So,
but my guess, if it all depends on good reviews. If it's getting really good reviews before the release, I'm sure they're going to try to push it for the Oscars. So that means a December release date.
All right, wonderful. Is there anything else we have to talk about out of movie news this week?
Not really.
Not really.
Not really. It's kind of depressing. It's kind of slow. Everyone's gearing up for Halloween, picking their costumes.
Speaking of Halloween, are you going to be anything this year for Halloween?
I'm never anything for Halloween.
That's true.
And I'm
What is your niece, the lovely Emma, going to be for Halloween?
I think she's confused with what she's going to be because one day she says Anna, the next day she's saying Elsa. So she's going to be one of the Frozen sisters.
Characters. You should just dress up as Olaf. Call it a day.
That would be cool. But again, I am working that night.
So you'll be busy. You'll be doing your own thing.
I will be I wanted to, but no one joined me. My coworker said no to this, which I'm kind of disappointed. But I have this beautiful Los Pollos Hermanos apron. And I say, let's buy some more, and we all dress up like we're working on Los Pollos Hermanos at Cajino's.
That's actually pretty genius.
I think that would be so funny.
Who said no? Don?
Donnie, no. Michael, no one wanted to join me in this endeavor. And I'm not going to be the only kid wearing Los Pollos Hermanos at Cajino's Deli. If we had the whole crew, I think that would have been amazing.
I can't believe they said no to that. It's kind of disappointing.
I know. I was very disappointed. My Halloween is ruined now.
I've still not decided what we're going to be yet. And I don't mean as in like I decide all the stuff, but Halloween is my holiday. didn't want to
decide
come
all
off
this
the
stuff.
I really don't. But I do decide the Halloween holiday. I do design our outfits because Halloween's my. I've always said that I want to be like Roseanne and Dan Connor from Roseanne, the television show, because every year they have outstanding costumes and they do it. They do it very, very well. So I said, I'm going to figure it out, and I've yet to decide. Last year we were Flo from Progressive and Jake from State Farm. So I don't know how I'm going to top that because I thought it was going to be easy, but it's taking me up to the 26th of October and probably a few days more to figure out what the hell we're going to be.
Time is running out.
But I have been doing well in my horror movie watching. What have you been watching? Have you watched any scary movies or anything? Are you planning, or what are you going to watch in the Halloween
I am
season?
planning on. Okay. I haven't, yet, but I'm hoping this week especially my sister, who's a big horror film fan. We're hoping to knock out some films. I know for me, around this time, watch Rosemary's Baby again.
Absolutely.
So, that is definitely on the list for me. And then, Halloween is always Jake just put up his copy of Rosemary's Baby. It's always handy to have Rosemary's Baby around this time of the year.
Samantha's never seen it, so I had it right here because I'm bringing it to the house so we could watch it.
Excellent decision. Yeah, so I plan on watching that. And then whatever, I don't know, Halloween is always a good one to watch on Halloween for obvious reasons.
What about Hocus Pocus?
Hocus Pocus is a favorite of mine.
Hocus
that was on, I think, Lifetime, like 2 weeks ago. And I caught the ending of it. And that was amazing.
So to kind of get off topic here, I guess not really, because I guess it's kind of a horror film. Me and Louis, it's so funny because we talk so often. I don't know if we talk on the podcast or off the podcast. I want to say this was off the podcast, but Louis was telling me about a movie he saw on Lifetime about Lizzie Borden. It's on Netflix, and I'm pretty sure it's one you were talking about, so I have to watch it. We brought it up because I'm a big fan of, he's a huge fan of Black Keys, but I'm a big fan of the Black Keys song, Psychotic Girl, and he told me that it's in the movie.
That is correct.
And it's with,
Christina Ricci? Question mark?
Christina Ricci, yeah.
Yeah.
I think is what you said. And I'm pretty sure I was like on Netflix. I was like, I think that's the movie Louis was telling me about. So I have to watch it. It's funny.
That is funny. I guess that can make for a good Halloween type movie. It's not too scary, but it plays with the whole myth of the
the
whatever that rhyme is. I forgot the rhyme. You know the rhyme, right?
What?
Lizzie Borden took an axe.
Lizzie Borden had an axe, gave her mother 40 whacks. When she had saw it, she had done. She gave her mother 41.
See, bam. That's definitely Halloween-esque material.
So if you are a fan of horror films, and you watch them all the time, and you ever fear that one day you might find yourself running from a masked killer, or in a haunted house, or filming a haunting that is taking place, as we've seen in the Paranormal Activities, if you feel that you and your unborn child is in danger from the creepy neighbors across the apartment, if you feel that you have broken down on your big road trip and you have stumbled upon a broken down gas station or an old abandoned house and you fear that you are in a horror film, I only could recommend one thing, and that is on Tuesday afternoon, logging on to UNLVRebelYell.com and reading my latest article for them, which is Jake Toronto's Rules for Surviving a Horror Film. Now, ever since I was very, very young, I have done an intense amount of studying from the horror genre. Ask Louis. One of me and Louis' fondest memories are based around The Ring, which we've told before on this podcast.
And they are making a third one.
And they're making a third Ring.
Yes.
I've really wanted to go back and watch the original Ring.
Oh, no.
The first Ring is really good. I'm trying to... we should watch that. We should watch it because me and Louis have talked about this, I think, quite a few times. I don't know, again, on or off the podcast, but we've been wanting to do our own commentaries for films. And I think that'd be a great one to start.
That would actually be funny to revisit that.
So, I've considered myself a great horror movie fan. I think the genre of horror really was what catapulted me into the world of motion pictures. So, I've compiled a list of rules and tips and hints and my opinion of what to survive a horror film is. So the first thing I get really quick is I have to give credit to Wes Craven's film Scream, in which a character played by Jamie Kennedy has established horror movie rules before. He has established, I think there's only 3 or 4 in the first film, and they're great, and they're original, and granted, he might not have been the first person to ever come up with how to survive a horror movie. He's kind of made them famous. However, to those who say Jamie Kennedy did it first, my argument is Jamie Kennedy died in the second film. Right? I didn't. I never died. So, your best bet is to take my advice. Out of my 350 some odd rules, I put a handful in there, and I really think you should read them.
How many rules?
350 some odd rules. I have them all written away in a computer somewhere, and I've been waiting for them to be published, and someone was like, hey, we'll publish some of that. So, it's come in handy. So, out of my huge list I've compiled over the years of myself being a movie fan. Absolutely. I used to have them on my wall. I used to have them written on my wall.
Yes. Among his other things on his walls were other movie quotes. I think he had Chunky, the chunk quote from The Goonies about, it was Janet Jackson.
Yeah. It was my sister, but his sister did.
Yeah. That, right. But yeah, you had horror film.
I had movie quotes. I had a lot of stuff because posters. Who needs posters when you have a Word? When you have Microsoft Word and a printer? So I would just any rules or trivia or anything, and I would just staple it to my wall. So when we moved from that house, it took us forever to cover all the staple holes and thumbtack holes and all that stuff. But
and all of those classic action figures.
Yes, which I still have most of them. But anyway, again, check that out, unlvrebelyell.com. That'll be released this Tuesday afternoon. I will be posting the link. There is a section of ChasingCinema.com that we don't really advertise on Chasing Cinema, but is there if you want. It's called Jake's Journal. It is a category you could find all of my other work that's not associated with Chasing Cinema. I also have a personal Twitter where I tweet out my stuff at Jacob Tirano, JACOBTIRANNO. But again, that's all different from Chasing Cinema. But I thought that what better way to end this conversation to tell you my rules. So, but before we move on, I will treat you to some of those rules today. I just have to pull up my list.
You don't remember it off the top of your head?
I do, but I don't remember their number. Like I don't remember.
You don't have to give us a number. That make them find out by going. Tuesday.
Well, how many should I give them? Because, there's not many. They only allowed me to write so much.
How many did he put?
Oh, I want to say at least 20.
In the Rebel Wheel?
So
you put 20?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Okay, give it 2 or 3.
Okay. Rule number 10. If someone has a bite of any kind, your best bet is to shoot them and get it over with. Now, I know it sounds rough. I refer to Rule 1 here. It says refer to Rule 1. However, in case of zombies, you have no choice. So shoot them in the head, and in case of a werewolf type situation, make sure it's a silver bullet. That way you knock 2 birds, 1 stone. Right? So,
wow. Wow. How about if it was a spider bite?
Just shoot them. Because granted, we've seen the spider bite end in a good situation, but God willing, if Spider-Man was a villain,
forget it.
Shoot him in the head. Rule number 14, do not buy any houses or any other kind of property where a murder has taken place. Also, do not buy the property if it now stands where a graveyard used to be, no matter how cheap. As we learned from the Poltergeist and Amityville Horrors and so many films where murders have taken place, it's usually never a good idea to move into that house. Let's see here. Rule 306, if you are ever an innocent bystander and you are approached by someone who appears to be in a horror film, do not help them. I know it sounds harsh, but the helpful strangers in horror films always get axed. It's horror movie 101. I'll give you just 2 more. Rule number 21, if you think the killer is dead, you are wrong. So you better do something and everything in your power to make sure he or she is actually deceased, because they either will A, come back and attempt on your life one more time before the film ends, or B, disappear, and this will launch you into a sequel or maybe even a franchise, i.e. Laurie Strode. If she would have ended in Halloween 1, we wouldn't have the 9 films that followed, or 8 films, 6, 7 films that followed.
That is a big difference.
No, rule number 6, which I think is a great, a great life rule in general. Don't be a bully. You shouldn't bully regardless, but especially in a horror movie, just think about what Carrie White did to her bullies, okay? You just don't want to be that person. And that's just a handful of lists that are going to be published again at unlvrebel.com. Jacob Toronto's horror rules for surviving a horror film. So keep an eye out for that. I will be talking a lot. Hopefully, maybe next week, I'll give you the rest of that list, but who knows? I think those are good advice.
They are great advice.
This house is a third of its cost. It don't matter.
Yeah,
Someone died
I
there.
totally agree.
Don't do it.
You must be out of your mind to buy a house.
If a girl is running in a shirt that looks like it had been sliced with a knife and she was bleeding out the arm and she's begging for help, go away.
Call the cops and go away.
It's being selfish, but I guess that kind of spoils my number one rule. But my number one rule is be selfish. All right? Learn to be selfish. Caring for others will just slow you down. I know it might be hard for some of you, but trust me, being selfish is a lot better than being hung upside down in Leatherface's basement. Just trust me and be selfish. I know it sounds tough. I played in a horror zombie film before, and I was selfish, and I won.
He did win.
So just listen to me. Anyway, moving on, we have some movies to review here at ChasingCinema.com's official podcast. If you're just tuning in, well, I guess you wouldn't just be tuning in. But if this is
you never know.
If this is the first time you ever tuned into the ChasingCinema.com podcast, go to our Facebook, facebook.com/ChasingCinema, our Twitter @ChasingCinema, and Pinterest, Tumblr, we're all on there. So search Chasing Cinema on every social media site you have. Chances are you will find us. But most of all, go to ChasingCinema.com for reviews, articles, and essays on your favorite motion pictures, written by yours truly and my co-host, Louis Corrizzolo. This week, I'm going to be reviewing Ouija. No.
Never close.
Not even close. www.ChasingCinema.com/Ouija, Ouija, is what I was going to say. Ouija is a horror film that follows a group of friends who lose someone, and in order to contact them, they go to the Ouija board. Now, Louis, have you ever played with the Ouija board?
Is that a serious question? You must be out of your mind thinking I would ever touch something like that. The answer is no. Obviously no, man. Come on. I'm not going to risk that. Have you? Of course you have.
I've never been able. I even start my review like this. Ever since I could remember, I've always wanted to play with the Ouija board. Henry Hill wanted to be a gangster. I've always wanted to play with the Ouija board. No one ever wants to play, though. As many like Louis, they're all afraid and they don't want me to open up any doors to anything. But
you never know.
You're absolutely right. But if playing with the Ouija board opens up the door similar to Ouija, the film, then I don't ever want to play with it because it is one of the worst films I've seen all year. Ouija is a catastrophe. Oh my goodness. So Ouija makes the mistake of not being scary, taking on the most generic plot, even though it has a great concept. Because though in other countries there are films about the Ouija board, and though it is a great, huge element in most horror films in America, there's never been a movie that focuses on the Ouija board. This film has the first one to do it, and they don't focus on the Ouija board. So, I mean, it becomes the most generic story about a haunting that has taken place in a house, and it's just really, really ineffective. I was really bored. The stingers of the film, and when I say stingers, I mean the moment of intense music, and usually where a scare would hop out. So when a woman is closing the, medicine cabinet mirror, and there's a person behind it, and it goes, boop! That's a stinger. The stingers in this film happen, but a scare doesn't follow, meaning there's a big noise and a big scare moment, and then something happens about 2 seconds later, and it's not really scary. For the first 50 minutes, the movie is really, really ineffective. No, for the first hour, the movie is really, really ineffective. And then it gets somewhat exciting through the second half of the film, but it's still just like the most generic story ever. They take this whole time trying to lead up to what's going on with this Ouija board, and then when they tell you the story, it rushes right into a solution, and it's like, this movie is just a train wreck. There are characters in there that are simply there just to help the plot move along, help characters and tell them very, very important plot points. The one thing I could say at all that I enjoyed about this film was the creation of one of the monster characters in the film, but even that was not enough to save this movie. It had some of the worst performances I've seen in a movie in a long time. Like, granted, I don't look at horror films for Academy Award worthy performances, but like, there's characters in there. Like, our main character is losing friends, and she's just like, man, I miss them. And it's just like, man. And at one point, she sees a body that's at least 60 years old, a dead body, and she doesn't even flinch. And I'm just like, man, like, you definitely do not know how to react. And I'm not blaming it on her. Again, it could be a lot of with the writing, but honestly, no one brought anything to this movie. This movie was just lazy, and no one really, it seemed to really care. It was really, really bad. Again, another annoying. Styles White, who directed the film, really brought nothing to the horror genre. He brought nothing new to this. He was literally like, oh, I'll make a movie called Ouija and release it around Halloween and we'll get some money. And he's probably ready. Probably will make some money. I don't know how much. I haven't checked. I could do so now. About $20 million it's done. Yeah, but it was terrible. I believe right now, for a while, it sat at a 0% in Rotten Tomatoes. Right now, I think it might sit at a 7 or 10%. But this movie is no good, not original, not scary, not fun. And it's only an hour and 28 minutes. It's almost not a movie in Louis standards. Mm-hmm. And it is the longest movie I've ever seen. This movie makes the epic North and South miniseries with Patrick Swayze, which is 9-10 hours long, seem short. That's how long this movie is. It's just atrocious. Wow. Surprisingly, I go more in depth in my review. So if you want to read that again, www.chasingcinema.com/Ouija. That's Ouija. In my video review, James was like, I don't know how to spell Ouija. And I was like, I do. It's Ouiga. And I was so confident, but I just mixed it up in my head. But it is Ouija. And if you want to see my blurb on our video, chasingcinema.com, youtube.com/chasingcinema. Moving on.
For some fun.
Some fun. Do you have anything about Ouija you want to ask? I'm guessing you don't.
It looked as terrible as you described it to be. Terrible promotion, terrible marketing, and like you said, okay, let's just throw this around Halloween time and let's see how much money we can make. And like you said, people around this time of the year, no matter how bad the movie might be, they look to see a horror film. And right now, it was the only horror film playing. So people have no choices, But what can you do? Every year is like this. Every year there's like a couple horror films that come out around this time. Doesn't make it good, but people still go see it because it's a part of the experience. It's what makes Halloween complete. Anyway,
moving on. We have John Wick. Now, John Wick was actually directed by... Okay, so John Wick stars Keanu Reeves, and it actually was directed by the man who used to be Keanu Reeves' stunt double in Constantine the Matrix. Chad, I always forget his last name.
It's a tough one.
It's a tough one to pronounce. I'll give it a shot, though, I guess. So anyway, before I do that, though, this movie was very much in great comparison to a movie that came out earlier last month, or 2 months ago, which was... The Equalizer. And The Equalizer was a film starring Denzel Washington and again, a revenge story. This film was directed by Chad Stahelski, around there. Stahelski. So the film tells the story about a man whose car is stolen, his dog is murdered, and he's set up for revenge. What these group of men who did this to him don't know is that John Wick is a former assassin. He was not only a former assassin, though some may call him the boogeyman. The leader of the Russian mafia pointed out he's not the boogeyman, he's the man you call to kill the boogeyman. Now, these group of young men that killed his dog and stole his car, a group of 3, one of them are actually the leader of the Russian mob's son. The leader of the Russian mob once used to be the employer of John Wick. So when it comes to his attention that John Wick is out for revenge, he is very mad at his son because he is fearful of that man. Which is one of the reasons why I enjoy this film so much, because it takes a different take on the movie we've seen 100 times, the revenge story. When a man loses it all, he kills everyone in sight. And we've seen this done 100 times, and we just saw it a month ago in The Equalizer. The problem is, The Equalizer was 2.5 hours long. It only needed to be an hour and 15 to 30 minutes. I won't do 15 because we won't consider it a movie. An hour and 30 minutes, and it didn't need so many endings. John Wick was quick. It was to the point. It trimmed all the fat out of its script. It knew what it was, but it had a different style. It had a different feel. It had fun, and it really, really knew how to kind of feel different than these generic revenge stories. So the fact that the villain was afraid of the hero was fun. It felt different. Like, it may be something we've kind of seen, but instead of a villain going, "Oh, we'll take care of it," he was like, "Oh my God, you got this guy on us!" And he, like, when he finds out who he is, he literally says, "Oh," in a just terrified manner, and he's afraid of this character. The movie also brings us into this world of underground crime, and it really there's this elegant hotel they all stay at where assassin's vacant. However, you can't kill on the premises because it's against the grounds, and it's a really, really great comedic little moment. It's very interesting to kind of think of this, like, all these assassins know each other, and it's quite funny. There's also a waste management business that takes dinner reservations, and what that means is dinner reservations is how many people attend dinner are how many bodies they actually have to clean up and dispose of. So things like that were funny. The Keanu Reeves. All right, so, like, going into this movie, everyone kept knocking Keanu Reeves. I don't have a major problem with Reeves. He has done some terrible performances, i.e. Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula. I think he is, like, gives one of the worst performances in history. But he's not that bad. Like, I wouldn't be like, "Oh, Keanu Reeves is the worst actor ever," which I heard a lot this week. But he does good in this movie. He gives a solid performance and a character that's memorable enough I'm sure we will see in a sequel or even a trilogy. He's on the brink of losing his mind, but he's holding it all together, and we can see that he's holding all these emotions in, and he just wants to kill. So he does a really good job of this performance, though. I mean, most of it is just keeping himself on that line. He does a great job. The movie's fun. I mean, everything about this movie was just a good time. It just felt, it had a different feeling, and it knew how to have fun when it needed to, and it had some great action sequences. I mean, the action is like unlike some stuff we've seen in a really long time. As James pointed out in our video review of John Wick, there's a lot of gung fu, and gun fu means, kung fu with guns. And there's a lot of flips and action, and it's just a really, really fun time. The moment. So as John Wick has decided he's going to come back into business to take care of these men, he grabs a sledgehammer to unbury his weapons. And it just gives you goosebumps because the moment this man gets dressed, all hell is going to break loose. And that's what I really enjoyed from this film. Very, very fun. Had a great different feeling. A movie I really, really enjoyed. Total enjoyment. So, great movie.
I'm glad because I'm happy for Keanu Reeves because it's been a lot of misses in his careers, especially recently after The Matrix. Big start in The Matrix. Speed was great. Everyone loves Bill and Ted. But after that, Constantine wasn't too well received. 47 Ronin came and went. And he's done a lot of B movies. But to have him have, a solid action flick is good for his career, I think.
Yeah, and it really was. And I think it also started a character. I don't think John Wick is as badass as Jack Reacher, but I think he has enough to have some sequels. I think people are enjoying it. I think it is better than... It is The Equalizer done right. That is the best way, I think, for me to kind of really explain how I feel about it.
And I hope they don't make sequels to it because it will be so refreshing if they just make this one action film a standalone film.
But see, like, that's the thing though, I wouldn't even mind seeing a sequel to John Wick because I had so much fun with him, and I think he is cool enough to kind of have a sequel and be able to do it. So they gave us a name we won't forget, and that name is John Wick, and I'm excited.
John Staff.
John Shaft. But that's going to wrap it up for this week, I guess. That's everything.
I guess so.
So next week, tune in as we'll be talking about Nightcrawler.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to be talking about Saw, the 10th anniversary re-release.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to talk about Halloween. We're going to talk about some other movie news, and I'm going to be talking about American Sniper and a new PTA trailer, and I'm going to be reviewing those trailers and talking, well, not reviewing them, but talking about them.
Avengers 2.
And what?
Avengers 2.
And Avengers 2, I'm sure we'll be talking about a lot more. And don't forget, Tuesday is when my rules will be coming out at unlvrebel.com. Find Chasing Cinema's reviews at chasingcinema.com. You could chasingcinema.com/Ouija, chasingcinema.com/John Wick. You could find us on YouTube and find all of our video reviews and podcasts at youtube.com/chasingcinema. You can find us on Twitter at Chasing Cinema. And again, pretty much any social media site you could think of, go to it, look up Chasing Cinema. We'll be there in some way. Tumblr, Pinterest, we're all on it. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jake Toronto.
Louis Corazolo.
And please continue chasing cinema.